Hey, GoBlade here. The last time you saw me, I was half the quality and 0% of the movement. Well, it feels good to be liberated, and that goes for in-game too. Blade has already been performing better and better recently, but with buffs on top and the ability to even lose to him and his Eidolons, well, he's now a really solid character to have, and Zero Cycles is reachable for him. Today we'll be checking out how much the buffs boosted his power, my takes on them and his performance, and then his updated build calculations. Like and subscribe if these recent videos have been helping you out, and let's begin. Let's check out his multipliers one by one, starting with his basics. A lot of things were just multiplier changes, so it won't be too long. And now, Blade is fully HP scaling, no attack nonsense. His enhanced basic will be going from 180% HP scaling versus 3 targets to a whopping 234%. This is a 1.3 times multiplier increase when looking at HP alone, though a little bit smaller in reality when considering attack. Now, his skill actually got a very welcome change too. One problem with Blade is not being hit, so he's kinda just stuck there aura farming. Now, he will massively increase his aggro during the Hellscape state. This is actually gigantic for enemy hit chance against your Bladey now, as it will just be a near permanent aggro buff the whole fight, because he will nearly always be in his Hellscape state outside of his turns. It is especially potent in Pure Fiction, where enemies will keep spawning in and hitting him, supercharging his talent stacks and letting him smack them back to respawn even more enemies. Unlimited Blade Works really does exist. Then his ultimate retained the HP loss scaling, but again dropped the attack, totaling HP and counting HP loss as HP multipliers, and the old ultimate had a maximum scaling of 342% of his max HP versus 3 targets. While totaling the new one, and you have a 486% total HP scaling, which is insane. That is a 1.42 times increase to an already powerful ultimate, and we'll see he will be able to dish them out way more often. And finally, for scalings, we got a follow-up buff. Instead of 110% HP scaling to all enemies, we will get 130%, a small but welcome 1.18 times increase to his HP multiplier. So multiplier buffs everywhere, but that's not all. His traces were thankfully reworked too, and we'll see his Eidolon 1 changes just after. His old A2 was moved to his new A4, so let's check out his new A2. When he uses his ultimate, the total accumulated HP loss will be set to 50%. This is a cool quality of life change that ensures his ultimate should be popping off every time now, but it's a massive boost to his E1 performance, as we'll see. As said before, his old A2 was moved to his new A4, but it also had its condition removed. Now he will just always receive 20% increased healing. Furthermore, 25% of healing received will be converted into his ultimate's HP loss tally. That doesn't mean he scales insanely well from healing like Castor is, but it does upgrade his synergy with strong healers. He will be able to maximize his HP loss fairly easily himself, but now it will be even easier with some teammates. Finally, we have the old follow-up damage percent buff, which is whatever, but now we get a bonus 15 energy every follow-up. Blade will now be regenerating 25 energy per follow-up, and with his aggro, he'll be getting a lot more of them. And so his only Eidolon change was his E1, but it's kinda big. He will now deal 150% of the HP loss from his ultimate tally to the central target on both his enhanced basics and ultimate attacks. Previously, it was only ultimate. It is still capped at the ult's HP loss, so 90% max HP, but a 135% HP multiplier at max potential every single EBA and ult? That's kinda insane, and his E1 is now definitely the priority over any Lycone upgrade. Blade's buff loop is really potent. Anything you add to one part of his kit can influence another. Him getting aggro means more HP loss, so higher multipliers. Him getting aggro also means more charges in a fight, which means more follow-ups. Him getting aggro will finally mean more energy from enemies hitting him, which is more ultimates. And him getting more follow-ups also means more ultimates, especially with a 15 energy buff. More ultimates means more charges and will also contribute to more follow-ups. So in practice, he just feels so smooth and fun. At E0S1 he is now a very solid DPS, and at E1S1 he can make magic happen. It is really amazing to see a version 1.2 DPS that everyone thought was dead rise from the ashes. I guess it's lore accurate, he can never really die, can he? If I had to give a comparison to our current DPS, I'd say at E0S1 he feels like a late 2.x DPS, and at E1S1 he feels like he's nearly on 3.x level. Like, his damage is overall much stronger, helping him in MOC. His aggro changes and follow-up spam is a massive boon to his Pure Fiction clears, and him being able to use even more attacks means even more toughness damage for Apocalyptic Shadow. And he can be a main or sub DPS. This guy is pretty versatile. Is he the best in any of these modes? No, but he's kinda good everywhere, mostly struggling into Apocalyptic Shadow. To further demonstrate my point, even though he's already performing nicely, the buffs in 3.4 in my simulations boosted his power overall by 42%. Remember to take sims with a grain of salt though. But a 42% increase, that's like receiving your own new limited support. And for those with E1, you get nearly a 28% DPS increase over E0. The old E1's buff versus E0 was half of that. Now, DPS will inevitably fall off, but Blade's rise before and after buffs is really cool. Because his abilities have so much synergy with each other despite some flaws, I wouldn't doubt him getting even better by accident later down the line. But anyways, if you love Blade, you'll love version 3.4. So, did his build change at all? For relics, we still didn't get any new additions. Longevous Disciple will remain his best. You can also use two-piece combos as well. If you really don't want to farm Longevous, I understand, and anyways, they're pretty close in power. For Planars, however, he did get a new upgrade. The Domain set will be his new best Planar Ornament set, and it is paired with the lovely Healer one. How convenient. Vigilant Arena and Inert South Slaughter remain very strong options, as he does a very balanced amount of damage between his various abilities. For his main stats, you will want to grab a crit damage or HP chest, usually crit damage, speed or HP boots, HP or wind damage orb, and a HP rope. The chest and orb will vary on your teammates' buffs as well as what you want to hit. For example, if using Mighty's Light Cone, you'll want a HP orb to hit the breakpoint. For boots, you'll want to run a -1 setup, so run speed boots most of the time, but E2 Bronya or Sparkle enjoyers can run HP ones. For a stat goal, I would aim for 7000 plus HP, 8334 if using Mighty's Light Cone, then 135 all base speed, the usual, and then a crit ratio of 100 crit rate in combat including buffs and sets, and 150 to 170 crit damage pre-combat. And speaking of best light cones, why do I keep mentioning Mighty's Cone? Well, before the buffs, I did tease this cone a few times for Blade. It offers high HP and high damage percent for his ultimates and skills, but his skills do no damage. And you have no crit rate unlike Blade's Sig, and no buffs to talents or basic attacks. But what you do have is a little extra HP consumption every skill and ultimate, which will give an additional stack of his talent. It will build up slowly during the fight to gain an extra follow-up or two. So Blade's signature is still the best for E0 Blade at peak conditions, but Mighty's in practice can be better, and the longer the fight, the more this will take over in performance, all provided you hit 8334 HP. I would definitely not pull Mighty's Cone to replace his signature, but if you have neither, I'd say pick up Mighty's for more versatility, as Jingliu will especially love it if you use her as well. And E1 Blade will want HP loss maximized at all times, and more healing received from Mighty's Cone is a tiny buff to that, but not comparable to crit rate. And as always, the other light cone options are still there, so your Secret Bow, your Sound Hunt, etc. Let's hope you don't have Mighty Blade and Jingliu on one account though, with all these contested light cone picks. And synergies before and after his glow up don't change really, but let's go through them regardless. A hypercarry setup will be Sunday or Bronya, then Tribi or Cypher or Silverwolf or Romay, and then Hyacinth or Huohuo or any healer really. Sunday is still the strongest hypercarry buffer we have, and he is fully universal crit DPS, so he works excellently with our fully HP scaling Blade. The energy he provides on top of doubling his actions just makes Blade keep on spamming out ults. It's really satisfying. But Bronya remains an excellent pick and has her E2 bonus to allow him to run HP boots for even higher max HP, even if her buffs are weaker than Sunday's. She's also wind element, so if you are using Silverwolf with Bladey, then you'll be able to keep him in the two middle slots while still benefiting from her wind weakness implant. Tribi synergizes a little with Blade's high max HP, but really she's just here because she's universally powerful and works in most teams, whilst also providing very cool damage in AoE. And Cypher is just another Tribi-esque unit you can plop in here for more damage amplification control, in case you're struggling versus a single target boss and need a nuke rather than more AoE damage amp. Silverwolf's buffs made her Omega strong, and she is a very nice pick now, especially into off-element fights for Bladey. Her single target focus on skill will help a lot for his damage versus bosses too, but she can always skill another strong enemy if required. And of course, Rome remains a universal cool pick and will help him with those pesky Apocalyptic Shadow toughness bars. For that final slot, we'd usually want a healer, and Hyacinth will of course be his best choice. She's just insane for him. A massive HP boost, high personal damage that can be boosted by the secondary supports, and then that dastardly signature light cone for added power and blade follow-up frequency. But any strong healer works. Warhol remains great due to the energy helping out the whole team cycle more ultimates. Gallagher and LeWatcher have the highest healing output among abundance, and that can help make sure Blade is always maximizing HP loss. They can all run Quid Pro Quo or Shared Feelings to help battery more, or they can run the new Battle Pass Lycan to boost team damage. Finally, Blade does also retain his sub-DPS power from before. In fact, it just got stronger. Castoris will now have a blade that cycles even faster with the added follow-up energy, and thus contributes to even more HP loss and healing for Castoris' new bud. Remember that buff loop for Blade's attack frequency? That buffs the feedback loop of Blade's kit with Castoris' in the same way. And to remember the good old Jingliu blade from before? Well, it works again at least. It's not going to be insane, but it's fun. Jingliu actually properly synergizes now with Blade constantly losing HP. She will gain synergy stacks every time an ally loses HP 20 times, and Blade will be losing HP every turn and most ultimates. It won't be able to get close to Hyacinth E0S1 synergy charging, but it's now a new synergy that she can make use of. And again, that energy buff on the follow-up, with Jingliu being able to give Blade charges, will allow Blade to cycle ultimates so much. With Jingliu finally becoming a full HP scaler, they will also both be able to make use of any current and future HP based buffs together, rather than both having different scalings. Will it fall off again? Probably. Is Hypercarry on either DPS better? That's what it feels like to me. The final dual DPS comp Blade enjoys is a Jade Driver comp in Pure Fiction. That's right, Blade can drive. With his added attack frequency, especially those follow-ups, Jade is going to stack up her charges more and more than ever before. I really like Hypercarry Blade in PF now with his favorite team core, but Jade can help you out if they're occupied on the other side. So guys, what do you think of his buffs? I'm so glad for him, and I hope we see him in the story again soon. 4.x maybe? Anyways, I really hope you've been enjoying these guide videos recently, and if you have, be sure to like and sub and share to help me out. Thanks to my super cool YouTube members, and have a goba day.